Next Best Picture. Thank you all so much for showing us pieces of Elio. Loved what I've seen so far. Ready to see more. As soon as you throw talking heads in a Pixar movie, I'm going to be in. So that was a pleasant surprise. It definitely felt like there were a lot of 80s vibes, both to the music and the story. Tell me about developing the tone of Elio and what you wanted audiences to feel when they watch it.
Yeah, it was definitely something that we did purposefully. We wanted it to feel like kind of nostalgic, like this nostalgic sci-fi movie with modern twists, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely dug into some of the geekier aspects I touched on in the other presentation about like the shooting with the anamorphic lens, and that gives you these deeper, darker shadows, adding a little bit more noise to the film. And all of these things you might get for free on a live action set, but we have to add everything very intentionally. And I think it does create this semi-nostalgic, but there is something still fresh about the film. So there's something about the atmosphere that we ended up with that feels very new, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, it's like lulling you into a false sense of like, I know where this is going, and then sucker punching you.
Yeah.
Like, just kidding.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Yeah.
He loves being abducted. He wants it.
Yeah.
So good. Well, Mary, I know you produced the film from the start, and I know that Pixar movies go through so many different iterations. So tell me about the origins of Elio and how different the final product is from when you started.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to work with Adrian Molina on Coco, and then I was with him in development when he was pitching ideas, and he pitched this idea for Elio, which was, what if the world's weirdest 11-year-old was accidentally abducted and mistaken as the leader of Earth? And just taking that little grain and just kind of, deciding what would be the emotional story there. And for Adrian himself, his dad was a military dentist. He was born on a military base, but he was more of an artist. And he talked about how he didn't feel like he really fit in until he went to animation camp. And that became this metaphor for the Communiverse. And, I think a lot changes in all these movies. Domee was talking about Turning Red, all these movies. There's so many versions that go away. But the building blocks of the film really stuck through. And there's a lot of pieces that you guys took and relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know, Domee, this is not your first film. Of course, you directed Turning Red, but both of you did get started directing shorts for Pixar's, and as so many of the great Pixar directors have. What do you think you learned from directing a short before moving into features that helps you become the director you are now?
Yeah, I feel like it's a great testing ground for directing a feature film. Like, all of the steps are kind of the same when you're making a short film. You still have to start with a blank piece of paper in front of you, and just it's still a story that has to have a beginning, middle, and end. You are still tasked with kind of like creating this compelling character who you want to follow on a journey, and watch them change and grow and transform. But it's more bite-sized, and you get a little taste of every aspect of the production pipeline through making a short. You get to get a taste of problem solving, of working with a crew, of just getting a snapshot of like kind of holding like a whole beginning, middle, and end in your head. That really helps train you for making a feature film. Yeah.
I mean, what I love about shorts is that it forces you to be very clear about what you're trying to say, because you really don't have much time to say it. So every decision you make in a short forces you to be more and more clear as you're driving the audience towards this conclusion in a really short amount of time. And that same thing is true for features. I mean, every single moment, every character's motivation is still driving you towards one conclusion. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that sort of North Star feeling I learned first with making shorts.
And I think for both of us too, like both of our shorts don't have dialogue.
Yes.
So I think it forced us to kind of like be visual storytellers.
Those are my favorite kinds of shorts, because I think you learn what can be said and done with visuals only. And I think some of our best Pixar moments are done without any dialogue whatsoever.
Well, can't wait to see how that all comes together in Elio in the feature form. Thank you all so much for your time. We can't wait to see more with Elio. I appreciate all your time.
Thank you.
Next Best Picture. Guys, we got to see some of Elio, not much. Very excited to see a lot more. But the animation in the film is really beautiful and really complex. And so I'm excited to learn more about your roles in that. David, I'll start with you. You're the set supervisor for Elio. And you showcased some of the ways you used like VR to help bring some of these 2D drawings and visualize them in a 3D space, especially for something like the Communiverse, which is a very complex set, complex sequences. How did VR help you bring these to life?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, VR was just one piece of a bunch of techniques that we used to try to figure out and experiment with the Communiverse. But I think VR specifically helped us sort of be immersed in that space and feel intuitively what it was like to be in a world that is not just horizontal like we kind of feel on Earth, right? It's just the ground and the sky, but a world that is wrapped around you and has layers to it and is constantly moving like the inner workings of a clock. So I think VR was particularly helpful in it, but there's also traditional methods like just the artwork and building test sets and seeing them shot through camera, and just constant iteration on the both technically how we're gonna shade something to how it looks like in final render. Thinking about all the lights and throughout the scene, how something can be vibrant and animated all at the same time. It was a process that took a lot of different approaches to sort of arrive at the final result.
Yeah, and I know that the artwork, Ernesto, that you developed helped contribute to that on the front end as well. You're the lighting art director. You told us earlier about one of your main roles is to help figure out the colors of the film and the importance of color throughout the film. I understand that green is a very important color to Elio. Tell me about green and the other colors and how they relate to the theme.
Yeah. My role is definitely working closely with Jordan Rempel, director of photography, and Harley Jessup, production designer. And so it's a very collaborative partnership, and we try to figure out like the big picture of how we're going to use color and lighting to help support the movie and help the audience feel what we want them to feel as like the characters are going through their journey. And so it's really just supporting and adding structure to the film visually. So with Elio, we realized that it was one way of helping us differentiate the scenes with Elio. Like he's gravitated towards green because he loves aliens and is fascinated by them. So his bedroom is green. A lot of his outfits are green. Posters, toys, everything in his room, the glowing stars are all green. And when he gets abducted, it's green. And then with Glorden, his color was more of a magenta and violet. So like the Glorden's den and a lot of the colors surrounding Glorden a lot of times are in those colors. And then for his father, Grygon, we were playing with the idea that his colors are orange and red. So he has like the lava, the light around him, his lights on his armor are very much that color. And so it was just like a nice way of kind of like letting you know that when these characters are in a scene, this is what it's about. This is what's happening. So it's just like a nice way to kind of separate those moments from one another.
Well, from what we've seen, it looks gorgeous. For both of you, what were the sets or sequences that had the most iterations or maybe were the most difficult to nail?
I think luckily we knew from the beginning that the Communiverse was going to be heavily featured and really important to the film. So we started on it early because it did take a long time. And partially because it was so open-ended, it's this alien world that we're just imagining on our own, right? Like in a group as a crew, but kind of making up as we're going. And so it was helpful to have sort of the story context. It had a contrast from Earth in this way that reflected Elio's journey, that reflected the diversity of the alien species, and had sort of roots in some of the biological phenomena that we see around the world, in the world around us, like how fungi grows or coral and seashells. So that, I would say the Communiverse is kind of checks that box.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see more from the film. What we've seen is so incredible. So thank you both for your time. Out from Next Best Picture, Harley and Claudia, thank you so much for the film and for your time. I love what we've gotten to see so far.
Oh, good.
Very excited to see a lot more. Can't wait to see it. Well, I know Pixar has done sci-fi before, but this does feel like a whole new level with the alien worlds that we're exploring. So Harley, I'll start with you. Where do you even begin when it comes to, alien worlds can be anything, look any way. Where do you even get started?
Well, in some ways, it was because they can be anything. We started by saying, well, what we want to avoid as far as Star Wars, Star Trek, actually even Muppets, and to try to come up with our own vocabulary of what is an alien. And it kind of grew. We probably did 150 different alien designs, and those got refined and sorted. And we wanted a variety of textures, of sizes, just to show that almost anything is possible. But at the same time, their colors are working together, ideally in concert. So it was always looking at them individually as well as a group.
Yeah, I remember early on, you had a bunch of artists cycle through and try designing aliens, and every artist has a different style.
Yeah.
You know, and
that helped.
We used that because if it's a different style, it's a different alien. You know, a different universe that it came of. So my job was just to say, okay, we'll do that. Yeah, sure. If tentacles, great. As my team's going, no tentacles.
Those are hard.
That's good. Well, you talked about building the Communiverse, and it's this structure with like 4 discs. And I love that you were showing us sort of the work in progress of how you got to the final look. Right. With all the layers and the light and the different elements that make up the Communiverse, how did you avoid it being confusing to look at or overwhelming? How did you sort of be able to separate it enough to clarify it for the audience?
Right. Yeah, early on when we did our first test, it was very confusing. It was very bad. And I remember Harley and I go, oh, I don't know if this is it going to work or not. And I think on a different film, we would have gone back to the drawing board and I would have given Harley a little bit more constraint, like maybe not for rotating this. But at that same time, you know, Pixar was developing this new tech called Luna, which is bringing lighting into layout. And at that time, Derek Williams, our layout DP, and Jordan Rempel were on. And they took a whack at it. And it's amazing how if you can lead the camera with lighting and lead the audience to where they have to look and always have a ground, even if it's not the real ground. I mean, what is ground in space anyways, right? Then you can guide the audience and where the eye looks. The amazing sets team went all in and started prototyping and building. And I think it's just resilience, you know, just keep going and commitment to building a world we've never seen before.
And seeing the elements of like lighting and atmosphere and camera so early on, the new tools have made that possible. So that was really important to be able to read the space and actually tailor what we're doing, refine what we're doing to camera.
Yeah.
I mean, the world looks incredible. So again, I can't wait to see more. Well, I can't leave without thanking you, Harley. I understand you're retiring at the end of the week.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, after 29 years here. It's bittersweet because I'll miss working with Claudia and the whole teams here. But I'm excited to do something smaller, working on my own children's books. But it's been a real privilege to get to work on so many awesome stories at Pixar, and and to have this be my final film, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, after all this time, what are you proud of as you're leaving this week and looking back in your career?
Oh, well, I'm proud of my first film here, Monsters Incorporated, but also Ratatouille holds a special place. We're going to France on Monday, and Coco was really meaningful to me, just to the message about family and being able to create that amazing world of the dead. So the world we've created for Elio, I think, rivals anything that we've done so far. So I'm excited to see what the audience feels about that.
Yeah, well, like I said, I can't wait to see more. Thank you both for your work and for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is Daniel Howat from Next Best Picture. Thank you so much for your time and showing us pieces of Elio. Loved what I've gotten to see so far. Love the animation.
Great.
Looks really complex and beautiful and stunning. So I can't wait to see even more. As complicated as it is, there's the Communiverse with so many different alien worlds and alien creatures involved. Where did you get started with finding the right emotions and movements for all of these various aliens?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest challenges, I think, because there were so many different species, and we tried to rein it in so that we could do it in the time that we had. But we tried to give a backstory for each of those species and come up with, like, what was that planet like? What are the traits that really define who they are? How do they communicate? You know, do they have like a face or not? And how do they move around? Are they walking or running or like swimming? So every alien species got that kind of treatment, and then we looked to our world to see, is there anything in our world that could vaguely resemble or move in an interesting way that we could apply to this character? And sometimes we were taking inspiration from various different places, sea creatures, insects, birds, everywhere, and putting all sorts of things into play when we were like trying to figure out how each one moves and communicates.
Yeah, as we've been here at Pixar, you showed us a big old spreadsheet with lots of information and backstory on each of these creatures. Give us a little Easter egg. What's something maybe we wouldn't expect to find on that spreadsheet that you have there?
Gosh, that's hard to say.
It was extensive. So
yeah, so much to choose from.
I can't even think of anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, some of these come down to how long is a day on this character's planet, and they're into the thousands of Earth days. So okay, if time takes that long on this planet, what does that mean for how this character moves?
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't come across necessarily to the audience, hopefully there is some sense of realism to our world or this alien's world that is maybe intangible and comes across.
Yeah, I mean, if their lifespan is very short, they need to move fast.
Well, and there are so many animators who work on every Pixar film, and especially with a film like this where you're dealing with so many different movement styles and things like that. How do you keep the movements consistent and feeling right so nothing feels out of place throughout the entire film?
Yeah, we have a team of directing animators, and it's kind of their job and our jobs as well as the directors to make sure that the various animators are all kind of keeping the same movement for each of the aliens. And it is a lot to keep track of, and we have a crowds team. There's the background characters, so if Elio and Gordon are at the front talking, everyone behind is handled by the crowds team, the crowd supervisor as well. So we're really just having to keep in our brain, that character is supposed to swim a bit like a fish, and you just kind of get used to it. And every time you see him, you're like, yeah, that one's not moving the way it should.
Right. Well, last question before I let you go. Technology is always moving forward so quickly. What are the ways that Elio pushed forward animation at Pixar?
Certainly having that breadth of characters. I don't think that we've ever had that kind of variety on screen before. But some of it is maybe not the most cutting edge tech that's out there, but it's kind of the first time we've implemented it. Like the technology that they used to build the character Ooh, where she is not your average kind of skeleton with a mesh built on top. She's using this other tech that ends up kind of building this mass around these balls, and how you form them together dictates what the shape of the character is. And this was a very interesting kind of sandbox for the animators. Scary at first, but then turned out to be very robust and easy to play with. So all that team came back saying, well, more ooh, more ooh. And we kept telling the directors, more ooh, we love ooh. And we wish we had more, maybe a side project one of these days.
That's great. That's great. Well, can't wait to see more of the movie, and I know audiences can as well. So thanks for your time and thanks for your work.
Great, thank you.